It's that time. It is that time. Welcome to Roadmap. How to take 3 listings a week until you're ready for more. Each week we interview a great agent who is consistently taking 2, 3, 4 listings a week. And we have an exciting guest today. We encourage you to take notes. Make sure that you're taking in as much knowledge as you can. And you'll have an opportunity to ask questions during this broadcast. So you're going to want to ask those questions. So write those down. I'm going to introduce my co-host next from San Diego. That's Carley Hathaway, carleyhathaway.com. Hi, Carley.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
How's the real estate business?
Amazing. It's going great. San Diego is a great market right now.
Great. Fantastic. Now, I wanted to touch on a couple things because, you know, we've had a lot of, every 7 days we have a great guest and people will start, they go into their limiting belief. They'll go like, well, you know, that guest, they're in their 50s. They've been doing it a long time and they're in a big city. So then the next one is, oh, he's in a small town. Oh, well, so then I had to have people in their 40s and 30s and now in their 20s today, if I got that right, Breann. A whole spread of ages and walks of life and cities because people go to the limiting belief. Well, I can't do that because small town, big town, you know, all that stuff. So let go of your story. Let go of your story. Everybody who's watching this can take 2, 3, 4 listings a week. If you don't want to, take 1 a week. If that increases your income and then just take off 4 or 5 days a week, you know, you can just work 2 days a week.
That would be perfect.
Yeah, that's how the efficiency works. So I wanted to touch on the Vulcan7 challenge. As we say every week, the Vulcan7 challenge is a unique way of learning at a faster rate because you can read in books, you can listen to lectures, you can be coached, and there's so many ways to learn. The Vulcan7 challenge will get you to this level of business very quickly. And what you do is you find somebody that's 2, 3, 4 hours away by car, or maybe you get on a plane and you go there once a month. It takes 24 hours of your time, maybe 30 hours of your time once a month. And you shadow somebody. You get there the afternoon before, have dinner with them, meet them at their office early in the morning, follow them through the morning, go to lunch, head back home, and then use the copycat principle. It is the shadowing technique, the Vulcan7 challenge shadowing technique works really, really well. And all of a sudden you find at the end of a year, you've got 12 friends that are all making a huge income and you're one of them. You become one of them. Now, Carley, you did your first Vulcan7 challenge last week.
Yeah, I sure did. And I'm going to tell you, I learned so much in such a short amount of time, just you know, shadowing this gentleman and just following, you know, how he runs his business and listening to him on his calls. It was really incredible. You know, he walked in the office about 7:45 and he was already role playing. He was role playing on his drive in. He finished up role playing, got right on the phones at 8 a.m. and just started hitting calls hard. And,
wow.
You know, within the first 10 minutes, he had an appointment with a FSBO. It was just
wow.
like that. Yeah.
And Breann probably knows this person.
Yeah. How? I don't want to tell. Everyone's going to attack him to go shadow him.
It's Hal Swayze in the
San Luis Obispo. Yeah.
San Luis Obispo, small town, great price point.
He was playing with me.
Pardon?
Oh yeah.
Oh, she role plays with him. So what? I'll introduce Breann here in a second. Go ahead and give me a couple things that you learned, Carley.
So one thing I learned is just continue to overcome the objections. Don't give in. Like, just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And then I think also what I learned from him is it's really important to keep a tight schedule and be on the phones by 8 every single day, or, you know, Monday through Friday. You know, and he takes his break exactly at 10:45 for 15 minutes. And then he gets right back on the phones and, you know, he keeps it tight. He makes sure he makes 45 connections every single day. And,
wow.
You know, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, the role play partner for Mr. Hal Swayze is on here. And 5 years ago, I interviewed her. I played that back. The market has changed in 5 years.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the way she's approaching the market's changed a little bit, but not too much. Please give a warm welcome for, and you can't hear all the applause, but they're doing it, Breann Llewellyn from Oklahoma City. Hi,
hey,
Breann.
Thanks so much for having me.
And you role play with Hal Swayze once a week, huh? Or every day, or I don't know.
I do, once a week.
Once a week, great.
Nice.
Fantastic. Well, it's a small world, isn't it? That's great. So 5 years ago, I was watching this, and you were doing like 100. Let me ask you, so 5 years ago, you would have been what age?
I would have been 24.
You were 24 then, so that's 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and you were doing 150 transactions single-handedly with a couple assistants and no buyer agent. 150. So, which meant you kept all the money.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a great deal. And I asked you, do you have how do you do that? Do you have a sleeping disorder? Because that's a lot of accomplishment to have 100 listings sold and 50 buyer sales. So, but a lot's changed for you in the last 5 years. Didn't you, aren't there like some life things? Marriage, babies, what do we know?
Divorce and baby, but yeah.
Divorce and baby, okay. Well, yeah, there's a progression there. Yeah. There we
yes,
go.
there is a progression, yes.
Good. And so you have one little one, two little ones?
I have one little one. She's almost 4.
Almost 4. Great.
Yeah,
congratulations. That's great. Fantastic. So tell us about your business. What's a typical month for Breann Llewellyn? How many listings do you take these days?
This year's been a little off just from finalizing a divorce that took a long time. Mm-hmm. But pretty standard before that was 12 listings, 12 sales every month. Right now it's about 10 and 10 to be
10
honest.
10 and 10. Okay. So 120 to running at about 128 transactions a year.
Yeah. I had to end up taking about 2 months off this year. So it's going to be about 125 closed this year.
Okay. Gotcha.
Fantastic. And have you've gotten all those kind of just through prospecting and calling and expireds?
Yes, expireds for sell by owners. And obviously now doing this is my 11th year doing it. I have a very good past client centers of influence database that I work heavily as well.
Okay.
So I receive a lot of referrals in from that as well.
Great.
Yeah.
So can you kind of walk us through what your morning, what your routine is, what your day looks like?
Absolutely. I've had to learn to be a little bit versatile in my routine now being a single mom. So I've had to learn, to not always be quite as strict, but like on the mornings I would have my daughter. I'm on the phones right at 8 o'clock and I'll prospect 8 to 9, get her ready for school. We'll get out the door, take her to school, drop her off, come right next door to my office and be back on the phones by 9:45. And then I'll stay on longer on those days. I'll typically stay on until 12:45 or 1. But a day I don't have her, I'm on the phones no later than 8 and prospect right into noon.
Nice. And do you have kind of people you like to call first? Do you like to call expireds first, FSBOs first? What's kind of how you like to make your calls?
I always like to call my expireds first.
Okay.
Get to the new fresh ones that I haven't spoken to first. And then I roll typically right into the brand new for sale by owners, then hit my hot leads. And then we'll circle back around to the little bit older expireds, a little bit older for sale by owners, and then hit past clients, centers of influence, those type of calls to finish up the calling session.
Great. What else? Let me see.
What else? So she said she's been doing this 11 years. And so let's see, 24, she's 29. So she started in high school and we were talking about it earlier before the show started. Tell them, in your senior year in high school, how many homes did you sell while you were going to high school?
So I got licensed on my 18th birthday in September of my senior year. And so in that first full year of selling, I closed 67 that year.
Oh my goodness.
Part-time in high school.
That's incredible. That's amazing. What made you get into this at such a young age?
Really my family. My family owned our company and my grandfather really saw that I was gifted in this area and in his grandfatherly way kind of pushed me just to try it in my senior year. I mean, because I really honestly wanted to go into the medical field and was going to go into college on scholarships. He's like, just get in and try it, see what you think your senior year. Worst case scenario, you hate it, but you've earned, some spending money. He passed away right before I got licensed, and so it really even drove me even further. And I mean, about 6 months into it, I was like, yep, he knew what he was doing. I'm not going to college.
That's so exciting. Well, it's a great story because I mean, you're in a real estate family. I mean, you're just doing what Dad did. You already saw the efficiency. You weren't running around holding open houses and showing buyers 87 homes or anything like that.
No, I haven't done any of that. Just watched what my dad did most of my life, and I mean, now we compete heavily, but that's okay.
Yeah, I know. They fight over listings.
Yeah.
I mean, we try not to constantly be overlapping each other if we know, but there's so many we set that we have no idea that we're competing against them. So I win some, he wins some.
That's fun. No, that's fun.
Yeah. And we don't take it seriously, Like, all right, well, you did a better presentation than I did. I better do better next time.
Yeah. Cool.
I remember 5 years ago when we were interviewing you, it stirred up people because you were working with buyers and you weren't showing that many homes, and usually you were just selling them one of your listings. What are you engaged in the buyer side at all, or do you have someone else do that? Or?
I still do work buyers. Okay. I mean, I'm more selective just because of the time that I devote to working now on the buyers I work with, but absolutely I still do work buyers. I have a licensed assistant that's paid salary as well that works some of my buyers for me. And then I do have some I'll refer out to other people, but if I do, I'm not counting those in my numbers.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you do work with buyers, but not all of them. How do you qualify? Do you qualify them?
I do. So typically, like if I'm going to work with a buyer, it's going to be a past client centers of influence or a current seller that we have that's looking to purchase. Or if it's somebody higher end that's motivated, I'll work with them. And I mean, honestly, if somebody's really motivated and ready to do something and I can take them out once and sell them a house, I'll do it. But I'm much more picky. If it's a first time home buyer that's expecting to look at 15 or 20 properties, I just don't have that time in my schedule anymore to do. So I just choose to be pickier with who I work to make the most of my time.
Right. How many homes do you typically show?
I would say on average 3 or 4.
3 or 4, okay. One trip out in most cases, it sounds like.
One trip out. Occasionally you'll take 2 trips, like if they want to do a second showing or just the first houses we looked at were totally not what they wanted. But rarely is it ever more than twice.
So this is all in the pre-qualifying and the setting of expectations, because you can't do that normally unless you set those expectations.
Exactly. I mean, it is just setting their expectations of, looking at more doesn't necessarily make it better. I'm going to find the closest I can find to what you want. And either we're not, on the right path and we need to change that, or we got to be, face reality basically.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're prospecting, it seems like you're doing it really good. You're right on the phones at 8 a.m. Do you have an accountability partner or role play partners, or how do you kind of hold yourself accountable to make sure you get on the phones?
Yes, I do have those. Honestly, the biggest accountability for me always has been my goals. I'm really driven to my goals and what I want to accomplish. Mm-hmm. And it's really important to me. So I have in front of me at all times, my dream board, if you will, of like what I want to accomplish. But also on the other side, going through divorce, it's hard, and seeing, basically I also have on the other board, like the hurt, like you don't do this, then here's what's going to happen. I have kind of the both of, hey, you can get on the phones and take some rejection and get here, or you can lay in bed and get here. But yes, I do have role play partners. I do have an accountability partner. And I have mastermind groups I'm a part of that we, are having contests or things all the time. So yes, there is external accountability, but I find for myself, the best accountability is what I want to do.
Is your why. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. But that moving away from pain stuff, what does that look like? Is it a list of things? What would happen if you didn't do what you're doing?
Right. I mean, I look at people that have gone through divorces and been in situations like mine that, had a set income or didn't have a way to, earn their way out of it essentially. And, so, looking at some situations that happened. I mean, I've got a list of those that happen, and just reminders of I didn't have to go down that road because I continued selling and getting on the phones and doing what I had to do on a daily basis. So it certainly keeps me plugged in.
That's great.
So you pre-qualify heavily on the buy side, on the listing side as well, don't you? In other words, how long are you in a listing appointment when you walk in the door to the time you leave? What does that look like?
I have some, I'm in there maybe 5 minutes. I have others 35. I mean, I'm typically
5 to 35 minutes. Great. And so therefore you must be sending them something ahead, or it wouldn't be that short. You must be getting a lot of information ahead, or it wouldn't be that short. What are you doing?
Right. I mean, I really just follow the Mike Ferry listing system. I pre-qualify them when I set the appointment, or if they don't have time, then I'll call and pre-qualify them before going out. I send them a pre-listing packet, with references and information and comps and a copy of the contract. So they have all of that before I come out.
Gotcha.
Typically my assistant will call and confirm, and, just again, want to let you know Breann will be there at 3:00. Really, our meeting should only take between 5 and 30 minutes, based on the questions that you have. I mean, occasionally I'll get a talker and be in there a little bit longer than that. But I typically set my listing appointments every hour and a half to give me time to go in, present, drive to the next one, prepare, and go into the next one.
Okay, you space them at 90 minutes apart. Good, and that makes perfect sense. I understand that one. Yeah, good. So what's the most number of listings, not counting a builder or something, but most number of listings you've taken in one afternoon or evening,
Taken in a month or a day?
No, in a day. You ever had one where you went till like a 4 and then a 5:30 and then a 7 and take 3 in a row or anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's pretty common to have days I'll take 2 or 3 based on the schedule I work. I would say the most I've taken without being like from a builder or mass number, there was a day I took 7.
Wow. That's incredible.
So yeah, I mean, 2 or 3 is pretty normal in a day. I have a goal of a minimum of 1 a day. Obviously there's sometimes I don't hit it. But
there's 0 or 2 or, there you go. Yeah.
Right.
Rolling average.
It's all over the board. But I would say my biggest listing month recently was 17.
Gotta love that.
Yeah. Someone is asking, what's the average list price that you list?
I mean, I list.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. What's the lowest you'll list?
I don't have a lowest list price. I have a lowest commission.
Okay.
So, I mean, I sold a house recently for $18,000, but they paid a set rate commission. That was my normal, I was still getting my average commission rate, if that makes sense.
And what is your average commission rate?
I mean, my average is my part is $4,000. So I charge them $6,000 so that I earn my 4 and we paid out 2.
So you don't always work on a percentage?
Not if they're lower end properties.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. And then what percentage do you try to aim for when you are in these listing appointments on an average home?
6%.
Okay. And do you give 3% to each side, or do you take more?
No, we are a 3 and 3 city. I mean, occasionally you'll see a 2.5% listing. But if you see that on a listing, a lot of times you're not going to get the showings. Mm-hmm. You offer much less than 3. Occasionally we'll do 7, give out a bonus. But typically it's 6 with 3 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
And do you ever experience any pushback on that?
Of course, especially as our market's gotten stronger, you'll get agents that go in and will list a property for 4%. Mm-hmm. So certainly there are times I get pushback on wanting to be at 6% when someone else is willing to come in at 4%. So there certainly are times that there's pushbacks, or I lose listings just simply because I got out commission.
Yeah. Do you have a good way to overcome that in a listing appointment? Can you give us a little demo maybe of, a little role playing of that?
I always find it comes back to you get what you pay for.
Okay.
So, I mean, Carley, have you ever gone to the store and found a really great deal on a shirt? Seemed a little bit too good to be true. You took it home, wore it once, and the next day it had a hole in it.
Totally.
Yeah. It was a complete letdown because sadly you got what you paid for.
Yeah.
Selling your home, it's no different. Okay. You're going to get what you pay for. So, yes, you can save a little bit of money on paper. However, if they're willing to cut their commission now, how strong are they going to be when it comes to negotiating when we do get an offer?
Ah,
awesome. I love that line. That's my favorite.
She's got it down. She's got it down. She's got it down.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
you're
honestly,
at the end of the listing presentation and they go, you know, Breann, this is a great presentation. We think you're very professional and we want to think it over. What do you say?
Well, I mean, that's a pretty common one, you know. Obviously, Breann, you had me over for a reason, and I know this is a big decision. You know, while I'm here, let's go ahead and put our heads together. You know, kind of what's on your mind? What's holding you back from listing the property with me today?
Perfect. Very direct and very businesslike. Good. And that works probably pretty well.
It does. I mean, there are some people that just flat are going to think it over.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's some people that are flat always going to want a lower commission. I'm okay with not winning them all. I just have standards on the ones I take, you know, with making sure I'm not loading up my inventory with people that just aren't motivated to sell.
Yep. Makes perfect sense. So yeah, we're not going for 100% here, but
No.
so for every 10 appointments you go on, how many do you take?
9.
So you're running 90%. That's
I actually run about 93% typically.
So that leans back to pre-qualifying questions, because to get to 93%, you're asking a lot of questions.
I'm asking a lot of questions. I cancel a lot of appointments.
Digging a little
Wow.
deeper. A little deeper.
Good. So you've been in business a while, obviously. How do you keep in touch with your past clients and your kind of sphere of influence? Do you have a kind of a schedule on how you keep up with them? Do you do emails, calls, mailers? What do you do?
So I do a quarterly mailer. So I send out a postcard every quarter. And then we typically, at Christmas time, do a little something extra. Like if a client has referred us business that year, like last year we have a bakery in town that makes amazing cookies. We delivered a dozen cookies to the people that, you know, had referred us business that year. And other than that, I keep all of them on index cards, and I have them divided up, and I call them every 60 days. So if I talk to a stack of people today, I'm going to move them and put them into the slot for, October 10th or December 10th, and slide them in. And so I just sit down and grab my box every day, pull out the cards, talk to the people, and then file them away 60 days from now. Or if they say they need to do something in 30 days or something, I need to talk to them sooner, I just drop them in sooner so I can call them.
That's great. Wonderful.
Fantastic.
It's all about simplicity in my mind.
Perfect.
Good. Somebody wants to get a little flavor of your expired script. And I got a comment on it. Somebody wrote index cards, old school.
Yeah.
Well, then my question is,
also did
is
ask
she making
about,
more than you or less than you? If she's making less than you, then you're ahead.
Yeah.
Maybe you should use those index cards.
You know, I used to try to keep them on a database on the computer, and I'm a paper person. Like, it's just how I am. If I'm writing it down, I'm going to remember something, not typing it. So I just reverted back to old school.
Yeah, she's 29. Remember, she's 29. You got to remember how she grew up. Index cards is going to come naturally to her.
Oh yeah, it's true.
So let's get a little flavor of an expired, expired dialogue. You know, just get a little flavor of that. Would you be open to that?
I mean, I simply use the Mike Perry scripts.
Okay, so then maybe we can pick up on where they go. You're getting near the end of the call and they're stuck and they're like, well, send me something in the mail. Thanks for calling. And what would you say? They're getting ready to hang up on you.
Right. I would simply say, I'm absolutely happy to go ahead and send you something in the mail. I'll go ahead and drop that in the mail today. And, I'm in your area every day. I honestly don't mind at all stopping by. I can take a quick look at your house. It really take about 15 minutes and give you some answers. Hey, what stopped the home from selling? What needs to be done to get the home sold? And then at least that way you have some answers to start putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Would you be home for me to stop by about 5 o'clock?
Oh, yeah, I guess we could do that. Okay, good.
All right, well, I'm going to stop by at 5, and I'll just go ahead and give you this information while I'm there, and then I can go on and pre-qualify them.
Jessica is asking, says, what is your system for expires? How often do you call, mail, drop off stuff?
With expires, I call. Occasionally I'll text. I don't mail. I don't drop stuff off. I mean, if I happen to be in the area and there's one I really want, I'll just try to reach them at home and stop by and knock on their door. But honestly, I keep it pretty simple.
Good. Yeah, that does. Well, the expires move fast. They wanted to know, Adam wants to know how many times you try to call a lead before you discard them after a certain number of attempts. I mean, and I would two-part that. What is your definition of a lead?
Well, I mean, I don't consider just an expired number in the system a lead. I mean, until I've talked to them, figured out their motivation on, selling the home, time frame, et cetera, before I'm going to consider them a lead. It honestly varies. Typically I try several different times a day to reach them. But like I said, if it's somebody I really want, I'll text them and also stop by their house. But if it's a week, 10 days, I haven't been able to reach anybody, get any response from anything I've tried, I'm just going to stop calling.
Yeah, who could blame you?
Okay, so about 10 days after not getting a hold of them. That's good. Someone's asking, do you ever stop by FSBOs? And if so, do you kind of have a script or a dialogue, what you would say at their open house?
I don't stop by for sale by owners open houses. I used to years and years ago, but that's not something I do anymore.
Okay.
So what do you do with a for sale by owner?
I call them.
Call them? And then what? Are you
I call them. No biggie.
What are you trying to find out from them?
I mean, the biggest thing with the for sale by owner is figuring out their motivation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I typically find as a rule, for sale by owners are the most motivated people other than expireds because they chose on their own to stick a sign in the yard or put an ad up. So by calling them, you're going to find pretty quickly, are they truly motivated to sell, or are they just basically testing the market to see can they get some unrealistic price for their house?
So you're just finding out where they're moving to, how soon they need to be there.
Motivation. It's all about motivation.
Yeah, there you go. Somebody says, do you still do open houses? Did you ever do an open house? Oh, come on.
I did one open.
You did one.
I mean, occasionally, like my staff or other agents in my office that want additional buyer business, they'll do them. Mm-hmm. But I just don't do them.
How long were you in the business before you hired an assistant? Now, you were doing 63 deals in your high school year. Did you have an assistant then?
I didn't. I would say, I guess it was about a year in the business. I got a part-time assistant.
Gotcha.
And I don't remember exactly how long I had a part-time assistant before I transitioned into a full-time. I can't remember anymore. And now I have 2 full-time.
Good. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, because that can take a lot off your plate. Do you do anything extra for those higher priced homes?
I guess by extra, I mean, like for a high-end home, I'll pay the staging consultation fee for them. We do a little bit nicer virtual tour. But I mean, ultimately selling a high-end home and an average price home, there isn't a huge different strategy in it. I find that they typically need to show better than the rest just because the buyer's more picky about it. But other than that, I do my normal marketing. I don't just list a house and set it on the market and expect it to sell on its own, but I'm not going to pour thousands of dollars into marketing either. Gotcha.
Perfect. Makes perfect sense. Robert Starro has a good question. You see that one, Carley? How do you keep a positive mindset after getting off a bad call?
I actually yesterday had a bad call. And I mean, this guy was cussing me, calling me all kinds of names and combinations I probably haven't been called before. And I was just polite. And I was just like, I understand. I'm sorry you're having a bad day. Thanks for your time. Hung up. And I just started laughing. Like
I can see it on your face right now.
Laughing. I was like, man, I have never been called that before, but that's really funny. So, I mean, a lot of times I'll just laugh, and sometimes when people are just rude, they're having a bad day. I mean, trust me, I've answered the phone before and not been nice. And it's not from anything they did. They just maybe caught me when my daughter was acting up or, I was dealing with something, whatever. So, sometimes I just try to diffuse the situation and, apologize for calling and catching him at a bad time and offer to call at a different time. So there's not too many times you just get an awful call, but when you do, I just laugh.
Yeah, I can tell that. But you got to look at the conditioning of that. What you're describing is probably one of the toughest things for people to overcome. As you know, they get on the phone after about 45 minutes, they get a little sweat on their forehead, a little knot in their stomach, and they stop. And sometimes they stop for days. Mm-hmm. Was it just your personality? Was that is more accustomed to that? Or did it take you 2 or 3 years to work through that?
It definitely didn't take me years to work through that. I mean, I would say as a normal person, we all have times where we have mental roadblocks we have to overcome. I'm just like anybody else in that aspect. I just see what calling every day has done for my business. And so I choose to focus on that. I would say the most frustrating part of it for me was when I started seeing, my dad every day prospecting, and he was setting, 1, 2, 3 appointments every single day. And then I'm on the phones saying the same things, doing the same things, and I'm not setting any appointments. And so at first it was really frustrating. And then I learned it's not just what you say, but it's how you say it. And it's making it a conversation and, expecting the best outcome with it. That all, like, you kind of got to get the perfect ingredients, together. And so, yeah, it doesn't happen overnight. You just have to be patient and get better, just like with anything else.
So it's just not the words, just, not just reciting those words. Because a lot of people don't understand that. They're like, okay, I got this script. That, after 2 or 3 days, this doesn't work. Well, it's exactly what Breann's using, but the difference is not just the words, but like you said, how you say it, having a conversation. I mean, help them get that piece, because that is a struggle here. I watch people that try that and they're reading the script and they think these words are going to save them, but they have no response pattern. They don't repeat and approve. They don't have a conversation, that it's not leading anywhere. And then at the first point of confrontation or rejection, they're off the phone real quick. But you stay in there.
Really early on in my business, someone told me, prospecting call is a lot like talking to a family member or a friend on the phone. And, whenever you start to think about, if you call your mom, hey mom, would you like to go to lunch? Oh, sorry, I can't go to lunch today. You don't hang up the phone immediately, even though she just rejected me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, well, what about tomorrow? Or can you go another day this week? Oh yeah, we can go Friday. All right, well, let's go to Panera. I don't like Panera. Oh, okay, well, where do you want to go? You know what I'm saying? It's just that conversation. So whenever someone told me that, it kind of clicked. And just when you're talking to people on the phone, again, it's a conversation. I find some people get so entrenched in the script. I've overheard a lady talking, and she's like, this guy got really mad at me. And I was like, why? She's like, well, he just told me his wife just died. And I said, oh, great.
Oh, no.
That's what was typed out on the script. And it's like, wow, that's just not common sense.
Yeah.
You got to be like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. You've got to be able to listen, not just be staring at a script.
Yeah, it has to be a real conversation.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he was happy, but, most of the time, people aren't going to be super excited about that. So you've got to be able to show empathy and conversate, really.
Mm-hmm.
Got to be human, as Matthew says on here. There's a whole lot of questions along the lines of more of a passive marketing approach. What do you do marketing it? Do you send out emails? The biggest thing she does is she is talking to these people, either phone to phone or face to face. And when there's rejection, she stays in there, and that's how she gets it done. All this other stuff, open houses, emails, marketing, mailing stuff and whatnot. Maybe you get 3 extra sales a year from that. Maybe you won't. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't.
It fascinates me.
Maybe I am leaving business on the table. I don't know, but I know what I've done works, and I'm all about efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Being efficient, making my clients happy, and being profitable at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm just not about throwing tons of money out into mass marketing. Just don't do it.
Yeah. And they want to know, are you making your own calls, or are you paying somebody else to make your calls?
I make all my own calls.
Yeah.
And you have a team, right? How many people are on your team? What does your team structure look like?
I I have 2 salaried licensed assistants. One handles more the listing side, marketing side. The other handles more the closing side. And sometimes they overlap, and they'll both occasionally show buyers. I have 2 agents in my office that will work as buyer's agents when I need them.
Good.
But we keep it mean and lean.
Good. I like that.
Can
Yeah.
somebody send in a listing referral or a buyer referral or something to you? You accept those?
Yeah, absolutely. And a salary referral fee.
And so what's the best way to reach you? Do you have a website? Is that the easiest way?
I don't have a website. I do have a Facebook page.
I know, you're 29. Of course you don't have a website. There you go. You have a what?
I don't. I have a Facebook and Instagram, the Breann Llewellyn group on Facebook and Breann Real Estate on Instagram. You can contact
Okay, perfect.
me.
Perfect.
You can also email me as well.
Good. And index cards.
And index cards.
Index cards.
Any last minute thoughts here? This has been really, really, really good.
Yeah, very helpful.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think people are understanding, because they're watching this over and over again. You just have to be tenacious. You have to start at 8 o'clock. You have to do it on the days you don't feel like it. How do you do it on the days you don't feel like it, Breann? You don't have accountability. You're not big on the accountability partners. You have some role play partners, but you're driven just by the goals, by looking at the dream board of all the things you want and moving away from, what would happen if you didn't do it. That's it? Is that what drives you?
I mean, really it is. I have an almost 4-year-old little girl that I've taken to Disney now twice. And
Oh, yay.
usually I'll get the reminder of her because I used to say when she didn't want me to go to an appointment, I'd be like, well, mommy's going to go to work. I said, this is how we pay for Disney. So now it's kind of become like her joke of, well, mommy, why don't you go get on the phone so we can go to Disney? So that's always a little reminder because she's constantly wanting to go to Disney and those trips getting more expensive every time. So, I just really want to provide the best life I can for her and, achieve my goals as well. And that for me in and of itself is enough accountability.
Good deal.
That's wonderful.
That'll inspire anybody. That'll get you excited, the passion of life, and and having a lot of resource. If a lot of people on here are like, I don't need that much money. That's okay. Give it away, or just do a third of what she does and have a great life too, and work only Monday and Tuesday.
Well, I will say, the more money you make, the better life is.
I know. There's so many things you can do with it. You can spread it around.
Away as well, but I mean, trust me, every level I've enjoyed life a little bit more.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. This has been a real treat, Breann, and it's good to see you after 5 years since the last time you and I did this, which was fun. But although I've seen you since then, but I hopefully a lot of people will be inspired by this and say, well, she hasn't been on the planet as long as I have. Maybe I better get my butt in gear. Move forward. It can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's been a real treat, and I appreciate it. Good to see you again, Carley. Send a lot of referrals to Oklahoma City. It's a great place to live.
Oklahoma City. Thank you so much, Breann. We've learned so much from you today. We so appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks, you too. Bye, everybody.
Oh, almost forgot.
What about our sponsor?
I know, our sponsor. Greater
Yummy.
Chocolate Chip, of course.
There it is. Where's the ice cream?
Right here.
We're asking for it.
Oh, they're asking for it. Where's the ice cream?
All right. Have a good day, everybody.
All right, you've done your prospecting. Treat yourself.
Yep.
See you guys in 7 days.
Bye.